Like this video to see more news every day. Blizzard apology does not silence protesters at BlizzCon 2019. Who would have guessed the South Park "we're sorry" meme wouldn't work in real life? Especially when you apologize with one hand, while writing something like "Blizzard Entertainment will do everything in its power to uphold the values and dignity of the People's Republic of China at all costs" with the other. Writing something like "Blizzard Entertainment will do everything in its power to uphold the values and dignity of the People's Republic of China at all costs." They didn't write that. They were just forced to read it at gunpoint. At gunpoint. Blizzard's annual revenue in China is about 2/3 of their annual profit globally. They could drop China and still make money hand over fist. The only power China has here is over the greed of the executives. Edit. Global total revenue, for clarity's sake, $7.26 billion. Global net revenue, profit, $1.5 billion. APAC total revenue, $1 billion. Chinese total revenue, didn't know this until today, $360 million. Edit 2. A lot of people are missing the point. Because Blizzard's total revenue in China is less than their global profit, they could drop China and still profit. There are many reasons they won't, capitalism chief among them, but the point is that, given a choice between making a little bit less money and supporting a brutal police state, they chose the latter. That, to me, is unforgivable, and I will not be purchasing any more Activision Blizzard products, period. In case my stance is unclear, free Hong Kong, Vive Maduro, Renuncia Pinera, Solidaridad con todos Camaradas Bolivarianos, Thera Lebanon, stay safe Kashmir and Uaya, peace to Palestine, and racist is spelled NYPD. Other editors have said it much better than me, but now what really gets me about all this? Companies like Blizzard can afford to make slightly fewer millions. I hold little animosity to the people who have to choose between a bad job and starvation, but like you said, Blizzard can cut China off wholesale and still be immensely profitable. But no. They will sell out every bit of their soul for just a little more. Short-term profits at any cost is fucking aggravating. We should get that social credit thing China is implementing, but only publicly traded companies. That could be a start to compensate for shareholder greed, since companies in stock market no longer work for customers and work for shareholders instead. No. That would be unconstitutional. You see. Corporations are people. Too. I would say /s, but this has been said by Utah Senator Mitt Romney. They didn't really apologize. It was just a vague PR statement. Shouldn't the apology be publicly made by Bobby Kotick, CEO of Activision/Blizz? I feel like he's just been as quiet as a ghost about the whole thing since it began. Blizzard fans want to pretend that Blizz and Activision are separate entities, so bringing Kotick to BlizzCon would not be a good idea. Why do they want to pretend that? Because Activision also sucks, and it's hard for people to admit that it's the entity as a whole that sucks now, and not just Daddy Activision pulling the strings making Blizzard do bad things. There has been no apology. All they did was express disappointment in themselves. Far from an actual apology. No need for a real apology when they know that Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 will still sell like crazy. People are so pathetic. They wonder why companies keep fucking them. Do I want to play Diablo? Yay. Will I ever play another Blizzard game? No. People aren't even willing to sacrifice entertainment in order to try to make their opinions heard. It's truly pathetic. Nothing in this world is going to change for the better, and it's not the bourgeois that are to blame. Too many bootlickers and enlightened centrists responding to this, so I'm disabling replies. The casters are still fired, the protesting player is still banned, and Blizzard still censors discussion about the incident. All those things are easy fixes for Blizzard, yet they refuse to do the bare minimum to remedy the situation. An apology is worthless unless the wrongdoer fixes the things he can change. The casters are not still fired. They and the player are on a 6-month ban. Whatever you think of the ban itself, Spreading misinformation is wrong. BlizzCon also signed to Tempo Storm here recently to play Hearthstone. Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough Hearthstone esports moment about a month ago, and we did not, said Brack. We moved too quickly in our decision making, and then, to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk with all of you, said Brack. We didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves. Brack went further. I'm sorry and I accept accountability, he said. This is not an apology. It fails to accurately describe the action and instead throws a public relations misdirection playbook at it with tough Hearthstone esports moment. Moved too quickly, too slow to communicate, and didn't live up to the high standards. Worse. No act of contrition was made, and the players are still suspended. Saying I'm sorry for something so vague it could have been a completely different event is not an apology. And just saying I accept accountability doesn't mean anything if there is no avenue to hold you accountable, and you won't do so yourself. An apology would have sounded like we are sorry that we suspended a player for speaking out against an authoritarian regime that was wrong. The suspension is vacated. Everyone involved has been fired, and I'm stepping down because this happened on my watch. Last paragraph. There were about 50 protesters gathered in all. 50 people actively expressing outrage is nothing compared to what was happening some weeks ago. People do forget, and all the outrage was just a passing fad, and for the meme/attention. People do forget, or they just don't care enough. Most people can't fly to Anaheim on short notice. I'm more interested in their sales numbers on D4. Best case is winter 2020 for a release, which is highly unlikely, since only new WoW-X-Pack was the only one that got a direct pre-order from the show, so that means 2021 most likely. The numbers won't be impacted. Basically none of Blizzard's games sales will be impacted to a significant degree. WoW will still get its typical new X-Pack spike next year. More likely is that current game's player bases decrease, but none of them were overly on the upswing except for WoW Classic even before this event. Lot of fucking good it did. For all of r/games bandwagon outrage and fuck Blizzard, all that entire sub could do, after they dropped the teaser for Diablo 4 yesterday, was circle jerk themselves stupid about how great it looked and all was forgiven. A week or two ago, and it was all free Hong Kong. Now they give them the ol' razzle dazzle and all is forgotten, and everyone's throwing money at predators. Fucking disappointing and shameful. Look at the top trending of YouTube. Overwatch. D4. WoW Shadowlands. Reddit boycott ain't doing shit. This is a problem with society. Making a fucking ton of money is not good enough. You have to make more than you made previously. Apple could make more money than anyone had ever made this year. Let's call it $1 trillion. Then next year, if they made $999 billion, everyone would wonder what is wrong with Apple and it'd be considered a down year. They don't want immense profits, they want growth. And at some point, you've squeezed all the profit you reasonably can out, and you have to start taking money from questionable sources, or from your employees. You know what we call cells that continue to grow without any checks or balances? Tumors are a form of cancer. We've allowed human tumors to grow, and it's choking everything. Thanks for watching this video. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell to see more interesting video. Goodbye.